I might as well plan for a future that I'm not sure will ever exist. But it doesn't hurt to zone it correctly. You know, zone it for places people can pull off. Yeah, it's a tough one. Other technology. Well, pens. Pens are a technology, right? And paper. We can make paper, but it's not very good paper. We recycle it out of like egg cartons and stuff like that. I have a bottle cutter. I guess there's a lot of tiny things. I have binoculars. I could have a telescope. I have one, but it's been abused and it doesn't work that well because I let too many people just use it. If people have access to things that they don't own, they don't take care of them. So having shared resources is a continual conflict and problem to be solved. There's probably a lot more. I could probably just walk around my place and start making an inventory of every single item that exists and then think, how can we make that? I've already done pretty good at getting rid of technology, so that's a big win, is not needing things. Don't need things. But most people would not want to live how I live, so I need to carefully discuss each technology and make decisions about whether we should use it or not, what the effect of it is. And even something like phones, I don't like a lot of how they're used. That might be a reason to have one place or two places where we have a cell phone signal amplifier, or three, whatever, but that we don't try and increase that everywhere, you know, because it bothers me when people are on their phone all the time. On the other hand, if I have a large number of people and I want a high level of social organization, then I want people to be in communication with each other. You know, have the calendar of events and know what places are open and stuff like that. It's interesting that not all of the cedar trees produce seeds at the same time. I must have more than one kind of cedar here, because I have one that's going to seed now, and none of these cedars here are. That's another app I want to see, is something for seed collection. I think I found one that might work for it, and I wrote about it a little bit, but I forgot the name now. It's actually more about fruit collection, but I wrote the creators of it and was talking about how I want to use it for seed collection, and they actually have a beta version that could do that, where you could log it. So I'll be checking into them again. What is that? That is a bunny rabbit running for its fucking life. Go off the road. Good. Keep going. I don't want the native bunny rabbits to get killed by my dogs. It's not like my dogs have a shortage of food. I find their behavior obnoxious. But, oh well. I guess day packs, we're going to call that technology. I would actually like day packs with solar panels in them. And that's because I go for long walks and I'm relying on my devices quite a bit. And so I would like to have those for sale. I'd like to get a sponsor for solar panel day packs. And I guess we don't have to have solar panel day packs, because we could also have just, you carry a small flexible solar panel. Maybe one person in the group carries it and you can lay it out. But then you can only use it when you're stopped. And I guess the advantage of a solar pack with a built-in solar panel would be it's getting sun all the time and you're charging your device all the time. So I guess I do like that better. that's not an either or thing. We can have both. Both portable solar things, and a guy did donate one to me, but it doesn't work. He was passing through and donated it, but for some reason it can't charge my phone, so I don't know. That's something I'm thinking about making an Amazon order. I've gotten some donations lately. Thank you, people, by the way. I don't mention people by name as donors because those dogs never came back. Because it's a privacy issue. If I donated to something, that doesn't mean I want my name used. And so if people want to be thanked, I'm happy to thank them. And maybe I should have a form people can fill out and say, I want to be a public donor. Because then they get their gold star for supporting the project, and that even promotes the project. If you are a donor, you're certainly welcome to post that you've donated. Some people want to donate objects. That's a harder thing to do because it's hard to get stuff to me, and I'm very, very picky about exactly what technology I need. Like a guy did donate some hard drives, some old hard drives, and I think I got one of them working once, but most of them didn't work for some reason. And I could haul them out again, but they're big, bulky, and not very big in terms of space, in terms of disk space, hard disk space. You know, they now sell 5 terabyte hard drives quite cheaply, and I actually need, that's another technology, I need to get another hard drive or two because I'm out of space. I keep copies of all the videos I do and photos I take and stuff, so those hard drives do fill up. And if I get more people here and we're really cranking out a lot of video, then they'll fill up even more often. I might need like 25 gigabytes a year of hard disk storage, and those should technically be backed up since they go bad, but whatever. I guess the real thing is to create stuff with them and publish it as much as possible so it's really stored out there on the web. Although I also do create some private videos, but those could also be posted in a private way, although nothing's really private if you put it online. That's why I don't like the cloud. I don't trust the cloud. I do want a media server so that all these videos we make, people can then browse them locally without using any bandwidth. We can have them indexed. We can have instructional materials. We can have stuff we wouldn't want to publish. So we need a whole intranet, not internet, a network internal here, hooked up potentially with fiber optics or Wi-Fi around it, encrypted. I need wireless routers with a VPN built in, or run my own VPN locally, and we could route a bunch of traffic through that. But I do care about security things and stuff, and we should probably, anybody who arrives here, even before they arrive, we'll tell them some security stuff, and after they arrive, we can train them on how to improve their digital security. You know, we can password check them, make sure they have good passwords, train them how to do that, train them how to remember them without putting a post-it down. Here's a vehicle. I don't like vehicles. This is a public road. I don't like vehicles because I could get robbed quite easily. Nobody around here has ever tried to rob me, but it's very unlikely they would do it. My local reputation is excellent. But yeah, still don't like it. Like, I need to carry another wallet that doesn't have my real ID in it. That has some other junk in it and has $20 or something to steal, so I can get robbed and not lose things that are hard to replace, like IDs or stuff like that. So that's enough about technology, I think. To make colder places here much. It's kind of chilly most of the year, and it never really gets too hot. So my challenge is to make warmer spots, but also another way to have warmer spots in many places is to dig in. Not in this one. I don't think that's necessary. With any kind of insulation at all, any kind of passive solar design, we're covered. We'll be just fine. There's a field up here that would be great to buy. So instead of buying down there, what would happen if I bought here? And then land down there below it. I should evaluate where all the property lines are up here and then figure out how I can get access from this direction. It's not my favorite direction. So it's more important for me to buy lower than me. But if I'm going to start recruiting people to live near me with many of the values that I hold so that they're good neighbors, I mean, this is a big field right there. You could build a whole town right there. And it has a lot of road access, which I generally don't want for myself, but some people might. I'd rather have internal roads also that are private, that connect up private lands. And I see a big win there. So if you are a person, I'm going to start a new video, I think. I would suggest not taking things real personally that I say, because that's one of the benefits of me doing videos is they're not about you. They're my thoughts about things, and then you can apply them or ignore them at will, but I'm not talking to you directly. Some people in their comments get offended, like a guy seemed offended that I was against refrigeration and seemed to think I was against it for him to do. Okay, I don't care about this guy. He has no videos. I'm not judging him. It just doesn't matter at all what he does. And so when I talk that I'm against refrigeration, it's not that I am morally against it. It's not that I think it's evil. It's that I choose not to use it. I think it's a waste of energy. And I've also talked about exceptions to that, where we might want refrigeration in certain cases. I actually have an off-grid friend who has a refrigerator, and it's pretty impressive to me that he can do that. It's a very small refrigerator, but it's kind of cool. So, you know, I may end up getting a refrigerator myself, and that might be one that's associated with a restaurant here, or, you know, used by multiple people. And then that got me thinking about technology in general, and all the technology that I think we don't need, which it's kind of easier for me to talk about what I think we do need, what is most profitable. For example, I have a GPS right here, which I'm supposed to turn on. God dang it. I was going to GPS my walk today, because I want to know, I can tell with Google My Maps approximately what the distance is. But in this case, I actually want to find out the real distance. So here we go. Yeah. And also I want to mark some spots on this particular route that you know, might be like where I need to fix the road up. And I'm taking a different road. I'm walking to Z-Town. We'll call it Z-Town. And then I'm going to loop back down and go through Y-Town and then come back here. So it's going to be a great walk today. Also, it is a cloudy day today, which is awesome because it's much more comfortable for walking. I hope it stays cloudy this whole walk, because this time of year the sun is just hot and oppressive. But right now it's like wonderful out. This is, what is it? What month is it? May. The month of May. I think May and June I'm starting to really like, because I checked the weatherspark.com. You should know about weatherspark.com. I send out links to that all the time to people to discuss. There's the ravens. These ravens are so cool. Oh, there's one right there behind me. Hi, Raven. How you doing? Are you upset about something? I think they moved their nest this year. I don't think they like me walking around. Dude, are you squawking at me? Hey! Hey! You talking to me? I would like to make friends with them, but I don't think that they want to be friendly with me. I don't think they like that I'm here. They see me as a threat. And in a sense I am, but I need to provide more water and stuff like that. Anyway, so I got my GPS. So let's go through the whole catalog of all the technology that is the basics of what I want to use. And I'm not going to count stuff like shovels or hats even, although this hat, you'll notice, has a strap on it. The reason that is good that it has a strap on isn't for pegging. It's so I can, if I want to, I can have it off my head, because it's so nice out that I don't really feel like wearing a hat. I wear a hat all the time when I walk around, and rather not. So let's not count that shit as technology, though. Let's just look at kind of higher technology. I'm not going to count glasses, although glasses are actually pretty important, and we can't make them. And yeah, maybe glasses would be technology. And I do have reading glasses because I'm old now. Kind of annoying. And okay, so other technologies. Let's do inventory. Camera. I have one in my hand right now. I can't show it to you. A phone. Now, I hate the fact that it's now assumed that you have a phone. There's all kinds of web services you have to sign up for that you have to have a phone to do it. I find that exceedingly annoying. Super annoying. But that's how it is. You got to have a phone. And you kind of have to have an individual phone. You can't even share that with a bunch of people because, let's say you have different accounts for stuff, then it's a security issue. And so I see that as a bug in software to demand that you have a phone, unless it's an app for a phone. So, but even like WhatsApp, for example, I use that on my computer and on my phone, and you have to have a phone. And there's a bunch of other services where you're required to have a phone. I guess that's a way of identifying you uniquely. And so maybe that does cut down on the scammer problem of people using a lot of fake accounts, although scammers have whole walls of phones sometimes that are running automation to spam people with. And I've seen pictures of those, and that's kind of annoying, but I don't like it. And you have to pay to use the phone. My phone can't do everything through Wi-Fi, and also I don't have cell phone signal here. So that's another technology I actually need to get, because I have people who want to come here who do all their work on their phone, so I need to buy a cell phone signal amplifier for connectivity. I have shit for cell reception here. There's some parts of the land where you can get like 2 bars, and but much of the time I can't get a connection at all in most of the land. So another thing would be I have Starlink. Well, that's a $500 dish when I bought it, and then around $65 a month or so, something like that. And so I think that's a legitimate, excellent technology to have, and that can provide, it's fast enough to provide internet for quite a few people actually. And then I want to get more than one dish. My current plan is to get a new solar power system. That's another technology. And I want actually a full, large solar power system in 2 spots. That's what I need to start out with. And then I can have, I can build from there. But 2 spots would open up huge amounts of land to have connectivity. And I could even have wireless repeaters and shoot internet to further places in the land. And then a laptop computer. I happen to use Windows at the moment, Windows 11. I don't like it. Apparently it takes screenshots of your computer at various times. And I don't like that especially. I mean, who the fuck's in charge of Microsoft right now? I mean, I've liked Microsoft historically. And they've provided software that lets people be more powerful and get more shit done. So I've always been impressed with them, except lately they seem to be completely lost. You know, I hate subscription software, so I'm switching away from Office and using LibreOffice, which is free Office. I haven't checked out their database software yet. I think I did check it out, and my initial impression wasn't very good. But ultimately I'm thinking, and I really hate to say this, but I'm thinking I don't want to use Microsoft at all, and that I would rather switch to Linux entirely and come up with a whole suite of software select software that works well for me, gets me what I want, and use open source stuff, use free stuff, and make that kind of be a standard. Because I just don't like the direction that Microsoft's going, and I've always hated Apple anyway. I hated Apple since the mid 80s. Just their whole model, and it's more expensive for what you get. I just don't like them. What else? What other technologies? So we've got internet connectivity. I have a scanner. I actually need to find the cable for that. The USB cable. It's one of those weird square USB things. So annoying. It's so annoying that there's so many different kinds of USB cables. I don't understand why. But whatever. And I'm going to get that scanner going because for the first time in many years I actually want to scan something. Also, I have some art ideas that involve collecting things out of the forest and then scanning them in. And then mixing those images, kind of like a collage, and then doing some other processes that result in some cool art that is inspired by what I create from the scanned image. So that's not a required technology. That's also a perfect technology to be shared, because I want to set up like a little business center. I do own a printer, so a printer, a scanner, you would have in the business center. Also, one of the things I want to be able to do is loan people external keyboards for laptops and for tablets and for phones. And that way people can use a keyboard with their device. Also, I want external monitors so that people can use the monitor that's bigger. And they don't want to travel around with that stuff, because I've hosted a lot of travelers. And so that's something I could loan people. And, loan it with a cable so we can lock it to the table and stuff. So that's another interesting technology option. Something I don't have is a water filtration system. I drink unfiltered rainwater. I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm not dead. But it's coming off of a dirty tile roof. It's not ideal. There's animals that live up there. And I did test my water and it tested fine, but I don't trust it. So I don't know what kind of water filtration system I would want to get, but I probably want a pretty good sized one. I don't want to fuck around with like little home ones or something, or anything that I have to keep buying filters for. I want to do like ozone and other UV, other ways of cleaning water up and making sure it's okay. Vehicle. I don't think you should have to own your own vehicle. I think that's a silly waste. Currently, I own a vehicle that does not work. And it's very difficult to live without a vehicle at all. It's very expensive. But it's also expensive to have a vehicle. And the way vehicles work in society is that most of them aren't in use most of the time. That indicates a colossal level of waste. So it's obvious we need shared vehicles. Those vehicles should probably come with a driver who's responsible for the vehicle. So you have privately owned vehicles that can be used by the entire community. There's a lot of technologies, and each one of them we could do some predictions on, or guesses at why we would have it or not. Kind of try as much as we can to think like the Amish. Should we have a cement mixer? I don't know. I know there were some Amish people who have a bulldozer, because somebody posted a video of them hiring Amish people with a bulldozer. So, why am I going this long walk? Because I have to walk. Fuck. That's so annoying. The fence right here is falling down. It's a wooden posted fence with barbed wire. And cows sometimes come up and down this road. So this is a spot where cows could go on my land. I have 3 kilometers of external fencing and wooden posts, and the wooden posts rot. So I need to have concrete fence posts, which also then brings up the question, should I make my own fence posts? concrete ones? Or should I buy them? You know, what things do we do internally and externally? You know, ultimately I'd like to get a forge and be able to forge stuff. And a blacksmith shop. I guess those are different. The forge is for what? Smelting metal or pouring metal? And then the other one is for pounding metal, I guess. With the lifestyle I currently lead, I don't need much technology. My computer's going bad, so I should really get a new computer almost every year, and then give the older one to another purpose. But I need a fast computer with lots of memory, because sometimes I'm running too much shit at once and it grinds to a halt. Also, it started rebooting randomly, which is not great. And I really appreciate the computer. It was actually a gift from a massive fan who's been a fan of me for decades. Like lots of them. Other technology, I guess I would include it as technology, is locks. I'm passing a gate up here, one of my gates, and had a lock on it. I did mention key card systems as an option the other day for doors, but those use electricity, and I don't like it. I mean, I like it and I don't like it. It would be so cool to have a key card you could just go and go through gates and stuff. Here's my gate. My upper gate. Which, by the way, where the fuck is the lock on it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, good. Kitchen tools, I think, are all optional. And what will happen is once my kitchen is running again and I have people and a solar power system, then we'll pick and choose. For example, people really like hand blenders and food processors. And I think, considering the labor-saving nature of some of those, I think some of them will be justifiable. And I would have to go through a list of every single possible kitchen device and then see if I can justify it or not. You know, like, should we have something to knead dough? Maybe. I want to set up a solar oven that can bake dough all day. I mean, bake bread all day. And so, you know, I want that. I mentioned a bulldozer. I don't know that I would want to own my own bulldozer currently, but a tiny one. I saw one you just sit on, like a tiny little horse almost. You know, you sit on top of it, and you can just dig places out. You know, should I have a brush cutter? I do have weed whackers, 2 of them, and one of them has a saw blade, a circular saw blade as the blade, which is pretty cool. And I've got, you know, many acres where I want to weed whack out 2 kinds of plants entirely. Actually, there's 3 kinds of plants entirely, but 2 of them are pervasive. And I want to clear them out and then plant those areas with anything else. Or, you know, because they just grow all over trails and stuff. And there's also another plant that produces burrs and seeds that get in your sock and then stab at you. And that's kind of annoying. So I need to be able to keep trails clear. Unfortunately, ruminants like donkeys would not work for clearing that. And also they might eat plants and trees that I want. Goats would be even worse. So we have to, if we do have goats and donkeys, then we have to control what they do. This is another place I need to put a gate in, right up here. This is a spot of land I never talk about. It's the, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. That's northwest. This would be southwest, the southwest corner over here. I want to put a road in here that cuts deep in through there and connects up on the other side, and then a building here that I can get deliveries to. I mean, ultimately I'd like to get a better access in general to get here, but like if there was a heavy delivery it might want to come down from that town, go in here, drop off all its shit into a storehouse, a secured storehouse, and it could continue on downhill. Also, if I was going to get water deliveries ever, which I never want to get, I could get them here and then use buried hoses, tube, to move that water down to other places. But I'd rather just have a really big rain capture system here or on one of the other hills, probably on one of the other hills, because this is close to the road. And all this could get bulldozed out flat. There's no utilities under here. There's a water pipe over there buried. But yeah, clearing this out with a bulldozer, and really this could be a future public-facing location for unknown use. But I'd want to pull back, put a fence, a wall further within it, and then have a building over there mostly hidden, and be able to offer things like a toilet, and perhaps sell food or drink. I don't know. I'm very much in conflict about whether I want to have anything that serves the public in any way. But I don't know what the future of this road is. Right now, no one uses it, except like farmers. But it's possible that this could become a more commonly used road. And so I mentioned the website WeatherSpark, weatherspark.com. It's a great site. What you can do is put in where you live on there, and then see the graphs of how much rain there is, what the temperature patterns are. That might affect how you capture rain. That might affect your architecture. I happen to live in a pretty mild climate. The best feature on it is the compare feature. So you can click compare and then put in a different location, and you can compare the graphs. Now, I like graphs a lot. Even when I worked in the corporate world, I would use graphs to predict the future. It was one of my more interesting functions on the team. Is, marketing and other people can just make up what they think is true, but I can tell them what's actually true. I can predict the future based on the graphs. I was invaluable service. Anyway, WeatherSpark does what I had to do with spreadsheets before I decided to move to this place, because it has such an awesome climate right here. Nearby, there are very different climates. And so one of my tasks really should be, as I think about attracting people to this area, and also establishing routes from here to other places where I want to actually purchase land or be friends with people who have land, or someone else can buy land, in locations on routes. So that then if someone's traveling, and they can car camp then on that land in a secure location, and they don't have to spend money in a hotel. And they get to hang out with other travelers on those routes traveling to and from here. So there's these other climates nearby that also would grow different kinds of plants. They're really very different. And so I want to have friends there so that we can have spots to grow things that we can't grow here very easily. I mean, of course, we want to create microclimates to have a wider range of things to grow. But often those involve some kind of infrastructure, even if it's a rock wall or a greenhouse. That's a lot of infrastructure. And so rather than do that, I would like in an area nearby that's a lot hotter. It's better for like tropical fruits and stuff. I would like to either buy land there or nearer to there. And I can actually use weatherspark.com to map out climates between here and there, and decide, okay, well, what could I grow how far away? And then in those locations and in my location, have solar food dehydrators, so that we're turning heavy water-filled food into dried food, not super dried, but even just semi-dried is fine, will last much longer. And that way it would help with our trade, because suddenly we can move, 10 times more stuff or 5 times more stuff at the same cost, and the nutrition all goes transport with it, but the water doesn't. And we need less space. We can have more product for the amount of space and for the amount of weight. So that's a technology I want to have, is solar dehydrators. I have one now, and I'm going to build a much better one A couple other technologies that are important is an egg incubator. Yes, I'm aware that chickens can brood their own eggs, but it's far less efficient and has more things that can go wrong. Instead, if I have, really high quality, even industrial, it depends on how big the flock is, but as the flock grows, we can get bigger and bigger incubators. And I already have designed a solar brooder, because turning baby chicks into chickens, pullets, young chickens ready to lay, is an expensive process. The other thing is we raise a lot of male chickens we don't need. What they do with those in the industrial chicken industry is they toss them into a grinder. There's people who are experts at telling the difference between a male and a female chicken. We can, instead of that, do cross-linked breeds, and that'd be like Rhode Island Reds and Barred Plymouth Rock. I think those are crossbred. But anyway, if you crossbreed the right chicken breeds, then you immediately know who the males and the females are, and then you have the unfortunate decision potentially to kill off a lot of the males. I would prefer not to do that, both because I want to raise the males, evaluate them, and decide who gets to reproduce. In other words, part of our genetic selection is to choose roosters that are better than others. And better might be meaner, so they can protect the hens. It might be more docile, so that they're friendlier to work with. Although I like the idea of mean ones. Could we breed them to fly? Could we have chickens that we have a whole flock, a small flock, and we just continually are deciding who can fly the most? And then we put those in a special place to breed. We just keep breeding who can fly the most. And the idea would be there to breed a wild chicken, a chicken that can live here more comfortably. It can handle the chill better, because different breeds can handle different amounts of cold. And so essentially, and regardless of the amount of egg production would not be a factor in that. It's, can they survive on their own? That'd be a tough task, and I'm not sure it's worth it. Certainly it wouldn't make any money, but because chickens are originally from Indonesia, red jungle fowl, green jungle fowl, and so we've bred them out a lot. There's so many breeds of chickens, and I don't know. So incubators, brooders, the technology we can't make here, but I have a bunch of videos on it. You can look up evacuated or something, because it's solar evacuated tube solar hot water heaters, also just known as hot water heaters. But the fact they're solar is really important, and the fact that they have a vacuum around the black tubes inside makes them super efficient way to produce as much heat as you want. And that is a technology that I can't make those. I can make things similar to them, but I don't even know how to make a vacuum. Not a vacuum for vacuuming, but like make a vacuum with no air, a space with no air. I don't know how to do that, but I guess I could learn about that too, or find out about how other gases like transmit heat or don't. I mean, I don't know if like carbon dioxide, for example, transmits less heat than air, or if there's any gas that I could use to fill a tube up with that would then not allow heat to pass by. I think they have double pane windows that use something like that. So anyway, there's a bunch of optional technologies that could exist, and certainly if you get a lot of people together, some of those make more sense. But for now, the goal is to get rid of every technology we can. Everything. They all break. I mean, fuck it. I want to learn how to make inks out of berries in the woods, and have feather ink pens and ink quills and stuff, and ink wells, so we don't even have to have pens. That's not high on the list of priorities, because pens are very cheap and they work really well. However, we can buy the refills for them. I think I have a box of those somewhere. So you can just refill with the tiny tube thing instead of throwing away the whole pen and buying a whole new pen. There's other stuff we can improve. Like, I occasionally have to go to the vet and get, deworming stuff or stuff for mange. My dogs have access to a lot of wildlife and other dogs, and so occasionally they get sick, and I don't know how many dogs we'd have it be worth it to be able to sterilize them. Right now, I just take a dog to the vet and have them sterilize them. I'm certainly not going to do it. I'm terrible with anything medical because I kind of disagree with it in general. I don't even take care of myself very well, but definitely medical apparatus would be good, like defibrillators. I don't know how to say that. Defibrillators. I don't know how to spell it either. Defibrillators. Those are like if somebody has a heart attack, and in a few places we had emergency response that could get them a defibrillator really quickly and shock them and maybe save their life. They're not very expensive, apparently. So that would be really stellar and wonderful. I think I have an old EpiPen somewhere somebody donated, but I should also be able to help people who are going into anaphylactic shock and can't breathe, and they're either going to have a really terrible time or possibly even die. So yeah, there's medical stuff. I don't know what I need, but if there's any need for it at all, then it should be a high priority because I can't deal with medical things very well. I mean, right now I don't even have a vehicle to get out, and the roads are bad. Sometimes during the winter the roads wash out. I've been trapped here for 3 weeks before, where I can't get out at all. And all kinds of stuff occurs. Oh, chainsaws are another good one because trees fall over roads pretty commonly. It's not super common, but every year some pine trees fall down. It's pine trees because they have a weak base and it gets too dry out and then there's a big storm, or it's dry out and then it suddenly rains and there's a storm, whatever. But they fall over, they get hit by lightning. Shit happens. So we need chainsaws. That's definitely worth it as a tool. If we have chainsaws, we can also be raising and cutting down the right size of trees that produce the right size of firewood. So we don't have to split firewood. Just raise it and harvest it at the right time, and we can have an infinite number of firewood without having to split it. I've got whole groves of trees of that size, and they're actually too dense. And so eventually they'll just die, so we can cut them up then too. Some of them will die. They'll crowd the other ones out. So I guess for vehicles, let's assume shared vehicles, and then let's assume a car shop. We should be able to fix a flat tire. Depends on how many vehicles we have, whether that's worth it or not. If we only have 4 vehicles, then no, it isn't. But let's say there was 150, 200 people living somewhere. Well, almost every day, you're going to want a vehicle going into town. You're going to want to pick people up at the airport. You're going to want to take them on day trips around places as a tour. And so, how many cars per person do we need? Well, the Amish don't have any. They just hire everything out, and they have horse buggies, which is another technology we should have, is horse buggies. That'd be awesome. But even horse buggies would have trouble on this road. It's a shitty road. So, how many vehicles per person? Or how many people per vehicle is maybe an easier way to think of it. Same thing, but well, if all your supplies are getting picked up by supply trucks, and we're trying to produce as much as possible locally, like all of our food and stuff like that as much as possible. I would say one delivery van would be plenty for 100 people. It could go out and get supplies, maybe even 150, I don't know. But then if it breaks, you got a problem too. And also, if you only have one driver for it, if it's a business-related vehicle, you could have more than one driver, and because insurance matters and stuff like that, right? So, I like the idea of 15 passenger vans for picking people up at the airport if there's a group coming in, and eventually I want it to be so that there's people arriving pretty commonly. Now, it might be that for now we hire out the 15-person van, but we have smaller vehicles which, could pick up, maybe 6 people, maybe just a van with some seating in it, like the one I have, actually. That was a 15-passenger commuter van. I bought it used. It had been used as a commuter van, so it was really well maintained, and it was a 15-person van. Pretty cool van. I took people on trips when I lived in the city. I took them on trips to mountains. I took them on trips to little festivals and things. That was a great van, actually. Yeah. So as a community, owning a van that size would actually be probably ideal and more flexible than a 15-person one, because it's hard for me to imagine that we're going to get to a point where we have 15 people coming in and out in groups. But who knows? And then I want electric vehicles. I was looking at electric ATVs, and there was this mobile battery power pack from Honda that can be used in a variety of vehicles, but I don't know if most of those vehicles actually exist yet. I think they have a scooter, which would have a hard time on these roads. But what I was looking for was like a UTV, utility vehicle or something. Utility transport vehicle. I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm going to mark this spot right up here because, wait, where is it? Oh, it's right there. Oh, God damn it. My GPS is not on. Why is that? It's exceedingly annoying. This road right here, this one-lane road, actually heads straight towards my property. And so if I was able to get access to use that road, perhaps buy a piece of land that is at the end of it. I've walked it before. Okay. Looks like it just went out. What is going on? It just turned off again. Maybe my battery's low. I do have more AA batteries, which is another technology, by the way, that I need to have, is batteries. But ideally, those would all be rechargeable. All right, let's check the battery level. It just died again. Okay, whatever's going on, I'm dead. And I didn't carry batteries with me. So, oh well. I got to remember this road, though, because that would allow people to go on this shitty road. I could improve this road. It goes straight down to my land. And if I can mark it, I have no way to remember where this is at. Maybe I can find it on Google My Maps or Google Earth or something. But buy the land that's above mine and then get this road in use, and I would have less distance people would need to travel, and I'd be more willing to improve it. Also, I could walk on that road then, easier. And it's orchards on either side of it. So it'd be tempting to even buy land up here that connects to down there, just for better access. I'm sure I'm forgetting other technologies. Light bulbs, LED lights. I don't want to have light pollution, so I want to control where lights are at, but they now sell 1 watt LED light bulbs, which is absolutely revolutionary, because that means I can have very specific spots be lit using energy very efficiently. Because even if I get a big solar power system, the temptation will immediately come in to waste that energy. No, I want to conserve it completely. And the experience I've gone through of living without a lot of energy has been critical in understanding how valuable energy is. So this way, I read about people putting on like $30,000 solar panel systems for just their house. And I'm like, God, they're wasting so much money. And they could easily, instead, learn how to conserve. And so I want to retain a conservation mentality and teach it to people who come live here or are visiting. And with visitors especially, I want to show them the difference between their normal lifestyle, their normal energy use, and how we live here. You know, what's their water use? And they can compare that with the lifestyle they lead back in the city, and they can figure out, okay, how can they use less? That's the big win. It isn't producing more. Lots of people want to produce more energy. I'm like, that's the wrong direction to go. We need to learn to live with less, and we need to have architecture that supports that. Using no electricity for heating or cooling. I currently have no refrigerator. I don't have air conditioning. You shouldn't need air conditioning because you can always dig your building in. Dig your fucking building in. Even in the hottest places I know of, if they would dig their building in the slope and then handle water flow and all that, it's more expensive. I did ask an architect friend of mine why more people don't dig in, and he said basically it's just cost. But it doesn't seem like it should be that much more costly. Not in the kind of soil I have. It's pretty stable soil. Very stable soil. So if we were to bulldoze it out, that's a cost, yeah, sure. But that's not a big cost, especially not when you compare it with the cost of ownership and the cost of energy use. So you could do that, put in cement or rock walls, make it nice and secure, take care of your water flow. Now, I don't have